How does this project fit into the acquisition strategy of Mathews West?
Acquisitions and strategy. We look for long-term community projects where usually there is a challenge to them. They're often, I won't say overlooked, but there's often a lot of groups that may not want to take on that challenge, and we see it as truly an area where we can use our skill set in addition to building long-term relationships with the community, with the First Nations, with the councillors and staff, to try to essentially realize the best use of the land that balances all those interests.
Well, you hit the jackpot here because there are some challenges.
There's a few unique attributes, yes, but nothing that I would say is too far out of the box from what we've seen before.
And can you remember when you first heard about this property being offered for sale and what your first response was?
My first response was a lot of excitement. Having been in the development world for a number of years, I've been watching other groups that have been active on the island, and I noticed one group that I had a lot of respect for come into Port Alberni a few years ago, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, and I've recently learned actually 2 of the principals are from Port Alberni. The group is Vancouver-based, but I very closely paid attention to that because I noticed that that group typically moves into markets that they see a lot of potential with, and they're very experienced, they're very good developers, and so it made me take note. And I've also have a bit of a shine for communities with a history of an industrial background that go through a conversion. Myself living in Britannia Beach, just south of Squamish, one of the former largest copper mines at one point in Canada and actually North America, and seeing that community transform into a really amazing community with a lot of character and a lot of eccentric people who would like to live there, which makes it, quite frankly, a really fun place to live. So I could give you other examples of that, but that's
good.
Yeah.
And this is going to change not just the face, but the fabric of this community. It's going to change the culture of Port Alberni.
I would hope that it builds off of the existing fabric and is an extension of that. One thing that I've always appreciated about the Mathews Group is that they really do what's best for the community in the long term. That's the most important focus of the development. Of course, you want to put forward a proposal that makes sense, that everyone is happy with, but ultimately community engagement is really the most important thing, because if you're not listening to the needs and the wants of the community and the First Nations and the city and staff, then ultimately it won't be a successful development.
Had you been through Port Alberni before?
Many, many times.
Had you ever stopped, or did you just drive by to Tofino?
In the early days, perhaps, when I first moved to the West Coast, but over the last decade plus, I've taken a lot of time to try to understand this city. It's quite remarkable. The same way I've spent time trying to understand the Comox Valley and Cumberland and Squamish in the early days. I tend to like to go to communities where there's a lot of potential to be on sort of the upside of the cycle, and working with some great bones which exist here. So that's the excitement.
And the last question is so easy. Is there anything you'd really like to say about this project and this site that I haven't prompted you?
Great question. I think this site really has the potential to a couple of things. One, be a hub downtown for a lot of activity in the community, which will hopefully flow outwards and gentrify the areas as well. But also, I think that the city's leadership in this process, I really have to commend them, because I think it's bringing the right type of attraction to Port Alberni and new groups that will want to come and invest money, and lots of young families that would like to consider the lifestyle benefits of being in Port Alberni. And I the affordable real estate, which is on everyone's mind these days, and really just a wonderfully balanced community.